Hey, Pessa, how's it going? We are, I'm just getting organized over here. We're going to check out some stuff going on down in the Discord and check some stuff going on in the different environments. So hopefully people pop in and see what's going on. Let me pull this up for people that, normally I give people a few more minutes, but we'll start this up here. There's Faint Calf. Yeah, for the scoop bucks. Yeah, you get all the scoop bucks. We've got events coming up here in the next few weeks. So what are we at here? We're at the, it'll be the 3rd and the 4th. And I've checked with everybody. Everybody says they're still coming to talk. But we're going to have, yeah, it is good that you don't have Windows or CrowdStrike at work. I was going to talk a little bit about some of the kind of funny things that have been happening around that. And some of the memes and stuff that have been going on. But yeah, it's been getting pretty spicy. It's an interesting thing, like the implication of selling risk, because like you sell risk, right? You could do all these things to risk in an organization, and engineers are part of that, right? Like engineers do some of the mitigation and the terminating and the acceptance and the transfer or selling of risk, right? We do that. We help management do that. We don't typically as engineers do that ourselves. But anyways, let's talk about this real quick. We've got Prolug's turning 5 on Discord. We've been doing the group for much longer than that. Actually, we're officially calling it 10 years, but it may even be a little bit longer than that. But we're just going to call it all 10 years in early August, and then 5 years on Discord, because we started Discord right before COVID started. Actually, me and the guys were hanging out down there and doing stuff. And these are the talks the first day. So August 3rd, August 3rd, August 3rd, and August 3rd are different people to come talk about different stuff. Any of these events or all of them you could go to. They're all free. Nobody, there's no cost for any of them. You just go hang out down the Discord. But we're going to be talking about, I'm going to talk about why engineering, what is it, why do we get into engineering? Why do we do it? What do we like? Oh, and Heather and Anime, hopefully you guys are having a good time over on the YouTube side of things. I appreciate you guys stopping by. And, anyways, back to this. Then Tommy's coming. That's my brother Timodius. He's going to talk about how he got into data analytics, and he's really just been kicking ass in that space for the last 2 years or so now. And I want to say, I'll let him tell you guys all about that, but he's going to have some interesting just talk and things that he does, and he's been working at the company that he does data analytics for I think 20 years now, but he was doing it as a manager, and then he officially moved over to doing it in the IT space. So he was doing it on spreadsheets and stuff that was self-taught, and then he went and got a degree and did some other stuff. But he's going to talk about that kind of journey. Pessa, who is here, M-Pessa, is going to come and talk about eBPF, or he can, people can change whatever their topics are, but he's mostly going to be talking about kernel level. eBPF, if you guys aren't familiar, it deals with system calls to the kernel out of user and system space, and eBPF is just a way to track those calls. And a lot of people, if you use the Falco, not the Falcon sensor, good God, not the Falcon sensor, which is what CrowdStrike uses, but it's a Falco, Falco, that is still safe to use. We will put that on the system and be able to track every call that's coming out of containers. And in a containerized environment, you're using Docker, or more commonly nowadays Containerd as your runtime. That's the official one for Kubernetes, right? And it's making system calls on behalf of the containers. So with Falco in between there, you kind of slice it in between there. You can track things. And I don't know that he's necessarily using Falco. I don't even think he is. But eBPF has a lot of technologies around it, and there's a lot of stuff built on that. There's an eBPF conference every year that we post up in the Discord. I don't even know when it's coming up this year again. I should probably check that. Then we'll have Robbie Reed come by, and he's going to talk about CI, CD, and DevOps, and he had a really good talk last month that a lot of people liked. So I think his is the number one talk, or it's real close. And then the second day we're going to have, I'll be there for most of both of them, I think, but the second day Fisherman's going to come in and talk about bots or AWS. I don't know exactly. He's going to have to edit that, but he's going to talk. He's been in the server a lot. He does a lot of our large language models. He's the one that has the bot talking trash to people in the Discord, all that good stuff. Data analytics with Ben. He's I've told you guys he's a professor for economics at a big college in the Southwest. Jared's going to come and talk Google. People love his talks because he tells you how to put stuff into your websites and track people, and that's what he does. And then Sending Grounds is going to come and talk. Well, hopefully Sending Grounds has time. He's been very tied up all of today with incidents. So hopefully he's got time in the next 2 weeks to come talk to us still. I'm going to have backup people to come talk in case anybody has to drop, but hopefully we're good on all that. All right, anyways, we've got a whole bunch of memes going on in the Discord. You guys are welcome to hang out in the Discord, by the way, right? Like, that's free. We got some memes. I made this one earlier. I think it's hilarious. There's a very important lesson here to learn about risk and vendor permissions. Systems engineers are trying to tell everybody, but security industry, we're not learning that shit. We're not going to stop just advocating our responsibility to our systems because somebody sells a tool to our CISO that makes it all easy. It's just a push button win, but that you can't advocate your control of your systems to just let people patch shit whenever they want. It doesn't. That's not how engineering works. Well, I mean, I guess it's how engineering doesn't work, but all right, so anyways, that's Discord. You guys can hang out in there if you want. Let me link that for anybody that wants it. Here's Discord. There it is on the Twitch side. There it is on the YouTube side. All right, so what have I been doing? I've been heavily involved with STIGs and STIG compliance, making sure Ranger's fed, and just kind of hanging out here. It is very hot in Phoenix, so that's terrible. Ranger's 73 degrees down there, so don't let him look like he's super beat or anything. I had a couple of things we could do. We could finish up. We never finished up the last couple labs of Ansible. I think there's like 3 or 4 left to do for the Socratic, and then I could put the notes up for everybody. And we could do that. We could also just work on, I got new labs we could build. Do you think people will move away from CrowdStrike? Heather, I don't think CrowdStrike's going to exist as a company after this. I don't think, I mean, like their Falcon sensor and their software may still exist as a product of some other company, but I think they're going to be sued into nothing. I think they're going to have to just sell their pieces off as like, I think they're going to get sued into oblivion. That's what I think anyways, but I don't know. Maybe I might be wrong. I don't really do much. Like, I mean, I do have an MBA and I do understand business, but like, I just don't. I mean, one, like their revenue's probably going to cut big time, right? So that's bad. 2, they're probably going to get sued and their assets are going to get seized. And I mean, what's a company like that have for assets? I don't know anything about them except I know that their stocks dropped a whole bunch, so that's not good. And Yeah, they're going to probably have to sell assets, and then when you do that, you basically just go into bankruptcy and get absorbed by some other organization. Yeah, VentCap, there may or may not have been some SLA broken. Yeah, depending on how SLAs were written. God, I'll tell you what though, man. Like, just the idea that you could just update my shit whenever you want, and then I go in the morning and it doesn't turn on. That's like, I don't know, man. If that's not the opposite of engineering, I don't know what is. But I mean, that's pretty bad, guys. It's pretty bad. FaintCap said stock was down 18% in 5 days. I thought their stock just dropped just last night. Bruto fan, SLA is a service level agreement, meaning like if I agree, like if you agree with me that I will provide you, I'll provide you a service, and I say I will keep that service up 99.99% of the time, which is a 4 nines of uptime, right? And then if I breach that service level agreement, there's some kind of contractual clause that says if Scott doesn't keep that for every hour that he's under 99.9%, he has to pay you back $5,000 or something. This is big money contracts typically for that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff like that with service level agreements. So yeah, Heather, the Falcon sensor is problematic. Yeah, I actually have run Falcon sensor in at least 3 Linux environments in my career, and I mean it works. Like I imagine it's doing whatever it's supposed to do. I didn't really like interact with it much, but it would send emails and stuff. So All right. So we're sitting here. We are not working too hard today, right? Because it's a Friday. I got a work call to get on in a little bit because we've been working. I've been working like 60 hours a week, guys, because I moved to this other part. Like, I'm still with the same company, Redline, but I'm doing more of like our delivery, like our customer focused stuff, as opposed to being on like government contracts and different contracts. So instead of like kind of just chilling and helping people with their IT stuff, I've been going out and doing deployments, and it's like it's been long work hours. But let's see. Since we're not working too hard, and since we're just kind of hanging out and doing stuff, maybe we'll do a little bit of Ansible, practice some Ansible. Some of you guys may want to get more into it. Maybe you've never used Killer Coda and you're like, oh, I want to see what this, I'll try my hand at this Linux stuff and see if I can do it. And I assure you, you can do it. Like, there's nothing stopping any of you from doing any of this stuff. I think every one of you probably is capable of it. You might just have to work at it. I think one of the nice things is, like, if you were hanging out here with us and you were like, hey, that's terrible, I don't ever want to do that again. And I would say, well, I've had college students come up to me after years of college, and they're like, I just hate this Cisco command line, or I just hate this Linux command line. I never want to do that. And I'm like, man, that's an expensive effing lesson. That's an expensive lesson to make it 2.5 years into college and realize you hate networking or you hate this stuff. That's expensive. Right here, you can get in here real quick with me right now and find out if you hate this stuff, and that's free. It only costs the time it took you to hop in here with me. So you guys are welcome to hang out, do the lab. I'm just, look, I'm not going to work super hard. I didn't even move my green screen over. That's why I have my camera off. I'm just hanging out here, and yeah, let's do a little bit of Ansible. I'll pin the lab up for you guys that want to do it with me, and we'll go. Hey, Salty Waffles, how's it going? Yeah, Isobu, it'll be interesting to see what happens with their valuation and all kinds of other things. So, also, by the way, so as we're going through this, you'll notice that on the left we're going to do the lab. I'll pop in the lab here, and then I'll pin it over in the chat for you guys. But over on the right, I have my Socratic method for Ansible. This is a PowerPoint that's up in the Discord. You know, if you pop in our Discord, there's all kinds of stuff for you guys. That's hilarious. They're down here in like the presentations. You can go find stuff. There's the beginner start here section that tells you stuff you can go do. There's just all kinds of stuff for you to go mess with, right? But anyways, let me pin this real quick for you guys. Pin. And when I'm done with these notes, of which I have hundreds of lines now, I will post the notes up as well in the chat, so you guys have those. All right. So welcome Prolog Ansible. Let me grab that. I'll leave that pinned. I'll pin this over on the Twitch side. There we go. Pin message. Boom. Okay. So that should be pinned up there for both of you guys. Get this stuff out of the way. All right. Last chain, how's it going? I always appreciate when the old Turbo users come in and hang out. I also have Turbo because I can't stand ads. So, and then I don't have to like subscribe to everybody. I just have Turbo. I don't know. I'm probably just a weirdo like that. I actually hate that Prime makes me do ads now, and I'm like, why am I getting ads on Prime? And then I can go and I can check this thing for like $3.47 more a month, and I'm like, out of principle, I just don't want to effing do it. Now you might say, but you did it for 10 or 11 bucks on Twitch. Yeah, I know, but I spend a lot more time on Twitch than I do on Prime. Like, I hang out on Twitch most of the day. It's almost like my radio. But anyways, I've just watched people kill each other on Dead by Daylight. So all right, so let's do this. This lab, so over here we'll keep our notes on the right. I am a big proponent. If you want to learn something, you should write it down. Either type it out yourself or write it down hand notes even. Your mind, it just does something to help. Hey Daft Duck, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. We are keeping in line with some of our old Ansible stuff. I hadn't gotten back to it yet. I figured I'd hop on a little bit. Yeah, Last Chain, I do appreciate you coming by. Yeah, hopefully you don't burn out staying up too much later. It's only 3:48 here, so you must be over on the European side of things. But yeah, all right, let's do this. So this lab talks about, in one of the other labs, you cleaned up a golden image. So if you want to go do that lab, you can do that lab. You know, there's a link to it. But now your team wants you to deploy that change to all the active systems. So in that lab, if you go review it, it's something like we updated everything because we wanted to update our golden image, and then we removed some software packages that we didn't want anymore, and we cleaned them out of the system. So now they say they want you to deploy that change to all the systems, like update and remove and make your image that's going to be used to deploy new servers as clean as possible. So we're going to verify our root host file, and then we're going to remove packages, J2, and then, we're going to verify all these files. So let's go verify them. So cat root hosts, that looks good. We got control plane and node 01. Those are our two nodes, right, in our environment. Boom, boom. Got them. There we go. So let's verify this package that was given to us. So root remove packages.j2. So there's a Jinja 2 template. And this looks pretty straightforward. It's like what we normally do. It says this is a system validation at this time. This validation could be, we could be more verbose there. We could say a system cleanup validation, whatever, I don't know. But then down here, we go through a little loop of our unreachable systems. We went over this before, but it's a simple little template. We say for host in, and we use a special variable from Ansible called Ansible play host all. That's everybody that left the blocks at the starting line. In this environment, it's these two nodes right here, right? Because those are the two that are in there. Then, if at the end of the playbook, you're not still running along, you've tripped along the way, we'll drop your name right here. So we loop over all the hosts, and if you're not in Ansible play host all, but you're the one that we're counting over, we drop your name here. It's simple little logic. I've told you guys before, I had done this before, and I know I can do this in only 3 lines, but that uses a Python filter, and I never went back and looked it back up. Because you guys know, Python's very good for doing what's called, not Venn logic, but what's the name of that logic? It's very good at doing, well, it's like an inclusion and an exclusion, like Venn diagrams logically. I forget what it's called, though, but they have their own little packages that do it, and you could do this in a shorter way. Like you say something like if host not, I don't know. But anyways, I had done it before, and then I lost it, and I forgot to. I just never went back and rewrote it, and it's just one of those things where I have a working version, so I never bothered to do anything. Hey, there's Paul Hartle. How's it going? CrowdStrike, is that getting you guys too, Paul? It could be FaintCalf, could be Case. Yeah, I've looked at it. I've actually written it before, but I can't. I don't remember where I put it. And then like I get something working and I don't. Paul, it didn't affect you guys directly. Probably some of your different IT teammates though, the guys who happen to stay over on the Windows side. Now it's time to talk to your CS. Yeah. Hey Robodom, how's it going? We're just working through lab stuff and hanging out. We're not working super hard. Okay, and then remove packages. This is going to use a special variable, right? So we loop over host from all the play hosts, and if this variable is defined, then we'll drop into this logic. If not, it'll do nothing. And then if that is defined and we see that the results were 1, meaning that the package was removed, then we'll remove the package. Strictly speaking, it means the package wasn't found because it's after a grep, but that's fine. Let's go look at how we generate all that. So root remove packages.yaml, and in here we've got our traditional what are we going to hit. Here's removing those packages for security reasons. Okay, good. We've got a debug here in case we want to go look at that debug, so that's good. And then we said verify that the packages were removed. Good. And then we've got a debug here in case we wanted to look at it. We could uncomment that. And then we could say that we verify that they were removed. Good. And we can debug verify. In this case, we're registering removed apps and we're registering verify apps. So we're actually saving variables that are moving forward with us. And then we come down here and we've got this report out and it's going to report locally. It's only going to run on localhost one time. It's not going to hit all the nodes, and it's going to generate that report. Colorman said, "Hi Hat Tannis, it would be really helpful to see how the managed nodes and controller nodes are set up." Oh, you're talking about for this environment? In this environment, so Killer Coda just drops you into a 1 or a 2 node environment. And then while that is valuable, like on the systems engineering side, this lab just kind of drops you in like you're already administrator on a system that's already up. So yeah, you don't set these ones up. You just get 2 nodes. You just get 2 nodes, control plane and node 01, and you can go look at who they are in the network and all that kind of stuff, right? But yeah, we don't, in this environment, we don't set the nodes up. I have other environments like with the Professional Linux users group where we can build things and that kind of stuff. Yeah, well, Faint Calf, that'll be true if they survive, I think. Yeah, he said that they'll be better company because you'll get deep discounts and mega code testing. That's probably, I mean, you know, if you survive any bad thing, this is that idea of like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. If they manage to survive, they will probably come out stronger on the other side. I do agree with that. Yeah, because the engineering will get more rigorous, the testing will get more rigorous, the control over that. And that's why, you know, people like to shit on companies like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman and like these big, and Boeing and these kind of companies that like Boeing's a bad example because they've been effing up lately. But in general, these companies, but like some of them, they are like so rigorous about how they do their engineering, and these methods have been around. Like some of them have been using the same project management methodologies for like 80 or 90 years. And you know what? If it works, they don't try to fix it. They don't try to make it better. It's a working product. I worked in a waterfall methodology in the early 2000s, and it worked effing great. And everybody rigidly adhered to it, and it worked. Now, a newer company without all those years of discipline, Agile's probably better, right? Waterfall gets shit on, but you can add all these discipline things into Waterfall and do all this CI/CD stuff into Waterfall, and it still works really clean. In fact, I think when Robbie comes to talk to the group on that Saturday coming up, that CI/CD pipeline type stuff that he was doing, he was in that environment and he was modernizing like the individual techniques. I actually met him at Lockheed Martin. He was modernizing the techniques, but still there was still these big cascading things. But what he did was he managed to like reduce bugs and effort and all this stuff because things would just get wrapped up and deployed in minutes. Every day, every time somebody pushed code, it would just get deployed again and tested in the test environment. And he like managed to knock out all kinds of engineering time. But we were still a waterfall, you know, methodology. So, anyways, the point is, it's funny. Like a lot of times, there's a lot of places where this is true, but people will do what has been commonly called over the years, you know, straining the gnat but swallowing the camel. And what I mean by that is they'll focus on this little thing, but there's like this big glaring thing that they could fix for way more results, way more. Anyways, we'll get into that another time. But for now, and that'll be probably in my talk where I'm talking about like why we do systems engineering and stuff and where the value comes from, because that's what my talk will be on that Saturday in a couple weeks. But let's remove this stuff. Let's run this and see kind of what happens in our environment. So we cat root hosts. There's our host file. Cat our remove packages. There's our big long package file we just looked at. And the debugs are all commented out. We could add them if we wanted to see the debugs. We could just uncomment them back out. But let's go ahead and run them. And we'll look at our Jinja 2. This is our Jinja 2 template. It's like the one that we've used in other environments. All I've done is modify it to show me what package was removed. And I'm going to show you a logical error here in a second about this. That might be better to be done a different way. I think I may even, I mentioned it over here. But all right, let's run this playbook, right? Because this is one of these things where we can look at it all day, or we can do what I say, you know, from engineering background is one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. Let's just watch it happen. Let's watch this thing go do what it's supposed to do. It's going to gather all its facts. It's going to remove those apps from those nodes and save that variable for us. It's not going to debug it though. That's fine. And then it's going to keep going down, and it's going to check that the nodes are gone and save that variable. And then it's going to print us out something at the end that says what the state of the system is. Is the system in a state that I kind of want it to be? So one of them got finished. The other one, you know, things can take different amounts of time. This is something you'll find if you ever run playbooks often against hundreds or thousands of servers, is they are asynchronous. They are synchronous within a system. They are in order within a system, but they are asynchronous within a task. Meaning, if node 1 completes first, he comes back first. If control plane comes back first, he responds first. So you'll notice like node 1, control plane, node 1, control plane. No. In this case, everything came out the same order, but sometimes you'll see like node 1, control plane, and then control plane and node 1, and it'll be backwards. Or if you got a bunch of nodes, you'll see them, because we know control plane was the first one in the list. So if we had watched the execution, it did actually run first, but node 01 was responding faster. All right, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter that much. Let's go look at the task. Let's go look at the report. Here's what the report says. System validation, and we could say system cleanup if we wanted. That's our template. We can do whatever we want with it. There's our time and date. Looks good to me in UTC time. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And then it ran through everything. I want you guys to note this time right here, because you might ask, well, Scott, hold on a second. What if I ran a playbook that took 2 hours to run against the environment? What's this time going to be right here? That's a question, right? And there's different ways to validate that, but the answer is it comes from the gathering facts at the beginning. So if you gather facts at the beginning, you will get, as you print out this time here, like I did, and it took 2 hours, this would be at the start of the playbook, not at the end of the playbook. However, there is a workaround for that. If you want the report at the end, and you wanted to keep like the start time and the end time, you could gather the start here, go put that into its own variable, and then at the end you can run the setup module again, and you can run that, and it would give you that data too. I believe there's ways within the Ansible control. I think Ansible has variables for the runtime and everything that we could print out in Jinja 2. But the point is, Ansible carries all that stuff with it the whole time, which is really awesome. All right, so we know that that's there. Let's run the playbook again. Excuse me. We'd like to always do that just to see how it differs. There was nothing to do here to remove. These all still changed, but these changes here are actually shell scripts, and I've told you guys before, shell scripts have to execute, and since Ansible loses control of execution, it will always show up as changed. This is one of the limitations of using Ansible. If you don't write your things idempotently, let me back up and say a different way. If you use shell scripts, Ansible itself cannot be idempotent. The shell script can be idempotent, and then passing through as like an aggregate, everything can be idempotent, but Ansible will always show that this has changed because it lost control. It launched a cannon off into the night and waited to hear like the echo back as it landed or whatever, but other than that, it had no control of what happened in between, right? Just launching cannons into the night. So we ran it a second time. Let's run this again and look. Here's our first report up here. And then, yeah, there's our first one. And then here's our second one, because I just ran, all this did was just cat them both out. And I want you guys to notice something. In the first one, it said bzip was removed and everything was removed. But then down here, it said it was removed again. And I told you guys that this Jinja template that I used wasn't perfect logic. It's not, it works, but the logic's not great. Well, the problem is that it's going to say, because of what I wrote, not because of what it found, it says it was removed. But if it's just, we could just better say not found. And not found would be perfectly acceptable to me, and then I would know that I had removed whatever packages I shouldn't have or whatever, right? The unreachable systems to me is very important because let's say somebody on some dev team gives me 100 of their servers to run this against, and 3 of the servers are down for some reason. then I can know right away, oh, those 3 servers were down. I'm going to have to go remediate them later. Because, you know, if our security team is doing good scans, they've got tools and other stuff where they're scanning our environments, somebody's going to go fix those 3 servers eventually. And when they do eventually fix those 3 servers and they come back up, they're going to be out of our compliance because bzip and containerd were on them. Another part of that is I don't like reporting up that everything's good and then having somebody come back later and ask me, why isn't it good? We found this. I think that just looks like I don't know what I'm doing, like as an engineer. So what I try to do is I use tools like this to help me find what of that list wasn't there, and then I can go remediate it quickly, or I can keep track of it, or I'll even note it in the completion log. I'll say, hey, we did 97 of your 100 nodes, 3 nodes were down. Go ahead and let us know when they come back up, and we'll work it out. That kind of stuff, right? All right. So anyway, so we did all this, and then it said why or why not, and it said, look at you learning Ansible. Use Ansible to remove packages that were not security compliant in your organization. So over here, it says, so here's our question. What does the register removed apps do for your playbook on the apt module? Now, yeah, okay, so let's go look at that real quick. We'll view root, what is that one called? Remove packages.yaml. If I could type. And right here, there's a register at the end of this. And you go, yeah, Scott, that's not an argument. It's just part of the task. Well, register allows Ansible to carry that output with it moving forward. Now I did view, so it's not going to want to change this, but I'll just force it because you can force over the top. And I'm going to go ahead and just run this playbook again like this. Yep, that's fine. We're root, so we can do it. And then I'm going to rerun the playbook, and this time let's watch what happens now that debug is in there. We know that the register removed apps is going to right here. Register remove apps tried to do something, and here's the debug for it. So what does it do? It keeps the output from the task module in a variable that we can use later. That's what it does. Okay. And then I say, can you set the verbosity to a debug module of 2? So I come in here, and I want to set this right here. Actually, I have to do it in the module here, so it's a module level setting. Hit O, and I'm going to say debug equals. Oh, no, sorry, my bad. What am I thinking, guys? What am I thinking? It's down here under debug. Don't listen to me. It's verbosity equals 2, right? And I'm also going to, while I'm in here, I'm going to take this one off too. Boom, boom, boom. And I want them to line up, right? You always got to make sure your tasks are all lined up nice and clean. And I'm going to do that here as well. Let me go fix this one because I was testing you guys to see if anybody caught that. Boom. There we go. So it's all key value pairs in YAML, right? There's no equal sign like that. All right, so verbosity is equal to there, 2. All right, let's run it. Now this is going to, exclamation mark, because I'm root and I can do what I want. Now this is going to dump a lot of stuff to the screen. Oh, no. Actually, you're going to see it not do those. But when I do a -VV, so a verbosity of 2, now it is going to run and debug those. So watch this. It's going to give us a bunch of debug information. There we go. All right. So now those variables that got brought with us. Look at these big old tasty variables. We got verify apps results, and then down in here, so in verify apps results, we've got whether or not it failed, right? And we've got the return code of 1, meaning it was not found, right? It was deleted successfully earlier. Here's the same thing, return code 1 for the other package. So one is for the package container D, and the other one is for bzip up here. We were searching for bzip. But we used a command. We just did a dpackage command. And because we did that, Ansible lost control. When we did a command, Ansible lost control of the system. All right. So did we come down here and we say, can we set it to, whoops. Can we set debug to verbosity level 2? Yeah, looks like this. It's under the debug. So here, I will just go grab it. Escape. Actually, we're already good there, so we'll just come here. And it looks like this. Oh. That's fine. And verbosity is level of 2. So it's good. All right. What else do I say? When you look at the removed package in verify apps variable, why is it relevant that the .rc is equal to 1, right? And that's equals as opposed to just one equal sign, which is an assignment operator, right? So why is that important to us? What just happened there? Hey, Killer Donnie, hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Thanks for the follow. Why is that important? Like, why, when we go look, now we got the variable right here, so we can go look at it right here, which is nice. But why is it pertinent that this on node 01, let's go to control plane. Control plane. Why is it relevant that this search right here, gave a return code of 1? Why does that matter? Well, let's go look real quick. Let's just Control Shift V, and we'll hit that, and then I'll say echo $?? And if you've never seen that before, then you know, get some. You got to work in Bash a little bit, right? We got to get you some skills working on Bash. But now you do a dpackage-l and you search for something. If that something is there, your system will not have found it. If it's not there, it will not find it. Therefore, the grep will exit with something other than 0. So let's go look for something that is there. This is a way to test, right? Let's look for OpenSSH, right? OpenSSH is definitely there. And then we look for that, and that exited 0, which is good. So what you might be thinking right here is, well, if I can make a 1 or a 0 pop up in a control variable that I can play with, that is very much analogous to true and false. True meaning it's not there, and false meaning it is there, right? Obviously, you can flip your logic however you want, so that it's correct. But why is it important to us that it's negative, that it equals 1? Well, that means that it wasn't found, and it means that you properly removed it. So I said here, so this shows that the package is not there. That's what it does. All right. So we're taking notes. Anybody that wants to do this lab with me, it's pinned. You guys can follow along and do the lab with me. It's super straightforward anyways. I wouldn't call it easy, but it's straightforward what we're doing. And then you just got to spend some time with it, right? Also, thanks for the follow, FC8. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. I'm not going to say all that because, I don't know. I'll just call you 8. All right. Anyways, we've got this. So then can you change the message to say package name is not present? So where do we change the message? Well, that would be in Jinja, right? So vir remove packages.j2. That's our Jinja template. And it says right here, so host equals package. And instead of was removed, I'll just say is not present. That's it. That's all I had to do. Escape :WQ. And if I rerun it here, it's going to debug a little bit. That's fine. So it did all that. And then if we go look at the actual, we'll cat them all out for this, and we'll just cat them all. And the last one now says is not present, which is more accurate because it wasn't removed every one of these times. It was simply not there. Does that make sense? The first time this logic was true, but what was actually happening was checking if it's present, and this one is now the only one that's technically really true. This one up here, hold on, this one happened to accidentally be true because it was removed. But we don't know if it was there before. We just know that it's not present. So this is the only one that's actually telling you real engineering truth right here. The other ones actually are these are all incorrect. This one just is accidentally correct because the first run, we know it was there and we did remove it. So something to think about. I don't like anybody ever being able to come back and ask me. Like, I don't like people being able to, this isn't like a control thing. It's like my engineering credit is in being accurate. And if I were to give this to somebody and I ran it against their 30 machines and I just fed this over to them in the change document, they'd go, whoa, that was removed from all of them? Wait, there was only like 2 that we thought it was on. The other ones you did last week. And I'd be like, oh, now I got to explain to these people and I got to back off from sounding like an idiot, right? And it's not that I care if the people, the other engineers think I'm an idiot. It's just that engineers, we deal in truth, right? We deal in accuracy. And if I'm not accurate, people are going to stop asking me to do things for them. So I try to be as precise and honestly pedantic as possible because, this is the only one of these that's been truthful, right? So anyways, all right. Can you change the message to say it's not present? Yes, just change the Jinja template to correctly output. Right? Last one. Can you change the logic to find anything that isn't .rc is equal to 0? So, could we change that logic and do this differently? Very good. Explain stuff. I think sometimes certain things go over my head. Yeah, Robdom, this is just, a lot of this stuff is just, you got to touch it. You got to get your hands on it. You got to touch it and play with it and what we call grok it, right? Like, you will understand as you GROCK. Yeah. Or just GROK, actually. There's no C in there. It's just GROK. Whatever, grok. GRO fucking machine. This thing is trying to drive me nuts. Damn closed captionings for the birds. I guess I get what I pay for it. But anyways, so we can come back here and we can go look at our logic. So we go look at our playbook. And I know I'm going to change it, so I'm going to just do VI. I'm not going to do view. View assumes read-only mode. And maybe I come down here and I look here for something I know is going to be there. So like open SSH. So now it's going to look for open SSH. Yeah, it's probably run on CrowdStrike. Yeah, it's actually, I'm actually glad this is working because who knows, man, their closed captioning could have been down today for all that other crap. So now Verify Apps is going to have something that returns with a code of 1. So can I change my logic to show that? And let's go look at our remove packages. And I can grab all of this, right? I can say set number, maybe. And I'm at 11 to 21, so I can say Y11, Y. So 11 lines will be yanked. I'll hit P down here, and I'll say, like, present packages. And then I'll go look if the package is 0, then package is present, right? And now on the nodes, we should see that the 2 packages that were not there are still not there. We didn't change this logic any. But now the one present package that we did want to look for whatever reason, happens to actually be there. If package.rc is equal to 0, meaning it is there, we'll just say the package is present, which will be that open SSH. Well, this might package.item. Yeah, that's fine. That'll work. Yeah, this will work. All right, let's run it. Right? Because, you know, why not? One test worth 1,000 expert opinions. This should work. It'll dump a bunch of stuff to the screen, and then we go re-look at our report, and it says, yep, package open SSH is present. So with very little work, you said, yes, we just changed the logic and added a block in the .j2 template, which is Jinja 2, right? Yeah. Oops. So we did it. We did it. Ansible achieved, right? Tooling achieved. We have touched the system. We've done our package cleanup. We've went through all of the logic of this, and we got it to work. So, yeah, this is what we do, guys, right? This is systems engineering stuff, right? The next one is we're going to deploy an NFS server. So the NFS server is something that we had done also in the Linux side of things. So if you go to one of our Linux labs, you would be able to find it. It says you deployed an NFS server by hand over there, but now your team needs you to deploy an NFS server and client mount points to multiple new servers. Maybe you got like 100 servers to connect to one server. So you're going to verify this and build this up. Let me link this one to you guys. I'll unpin this last one. 1 second. Unpin. Pin the new one. DDoS, how's it going? And I'll unpin this one over here. And I'll repin this new one for you guys on the YouTube side. There you go. Where are you hiding? Oh, I'm just hanging out. It's really hot here in Phoenix, so I'm like, hold on 1 second. Give him some water. My office has the servers in here, so my office runs a little warmer than the rest of the house. Even though the house is set at 73, my office stays a little bit warmer. And when I put that green screen up, it does actually get a little warmer here where I'm sitting. But if you want to see somebody who's super comfortable, look at that. What's that guy doing? Look at that dog. He's laying on 2 beds at the same time. Yeah, so I have a lot of airflow in here. I have a fan outside in the hallway blowing air in here, and the room itself stays cooler if I don't have that curtain up. But I figured it was better than sitting here like this, right? Like you can see part of my green screen over here, and like, I just figure I'll stay out of the way. But I'm here. I'm a real person. We're really working on stuff. And we're doing the next lab. So lab 18 is deploying an NFS server. This isn't... Oh, let's go to it. Let's go hop over to it. I linked that to you guys. If anyone wants to do it, you can make it bigger so you can read it. We had this other lab. This is just the straight Linux if you just want to go do it by hand. And I think that's valuable because you learn the component pieces of it without the Ansible part. Then you come over here and you play with the Ansible and you go, oh, that's how I do it automated. Oh, that's how I do it to 100 servers. Once you have a good host file, I'm telling you, you can do pretty much anything you need. And in this one, we've got this type client and type server, which are just going to be things that determine how my... Oh, it looks like I'm doing a galaxy structure here. Yeah, so they're going to be how we inherit and run the different roles of our deployment. Okay? So, we had our root host out, got that. We're going to make a directory called root Ansible roles, and then we're going to cd down into that directory. Then we're going to create a galaxy structure, 2 of them. If I do an ls-l, there's nothing in here. If I do a tree, there's... let's just install tree real quick so it's easy for everybody to see. Sometimes when you're first doing Linux, it's good to have like tree here. But ls, nothing. Right, there's nothing in this directory. And then tree, there's nothing in here. And then I create these 2 galaxy structures for the NFS server and the NFS client. And now if I do an ls-a, then I've got these two directories. And if I do a tree in here, it'll show that all of this hierarchy was built for me as part of what would become an inheritable role. So I can do everything I need to in here. Awesome. And that's really the only reason I use Ansible Galaxy. There's probably other reasons out there. But I'm going to go ahead and copy in some of the pieces that I need to make this work. So I'm going to copy in my NFS deploy. And then that's going to be root ansible nfs deploy.yaml. So if I go more on root ansible nfs deploy.yaml, this is going to go and deploy in my environment. And for the roles, if the role NFS server will be picked when the type is equal to server from the inventory file, right? In the host group, the inventory file that was given. And then the NFS client will be when type is equal to client. And that's how we're going to determine the different roles based on these servers. All right. So then we're going to go look at, so we looked at that file. Good. And then we're going to copy in a couple of files to the NFS server deploy. The first one is going to copy over the main.yaml, and the other one is going to go over the handler's main.yaml. So we're going to write over both of them. And then we're going to go look at those files. And the first one, which is the NFS server tasks main.yaml, does these basic things. It installs the NFS kernel server on the one machine that it's going to run against. It creates a directory that we need called share. Then it sets that share into the Etsy exports, and that's all it does. However, if this has to change right here, meaning it modified the Etsy exports, which it will do the first time, it's going to notify the restart NFS module. Handler. That handler is right here. It's an NFS server handler's main. It's called restart NFS. See how its name matches? And it will restart the NFS server only if it's notified by only this one thing. So, if all of this, if you look at all this and you go, that's a big mess, I don't know what any of that is. What you want to do is go back and do the by hand one, and then you'll be like, okay, I installed the server, I made a share, I gave it the right permissions, and then I made an export, and then I restarted the NFS server. Those are the steps to get an NFS server running in an environment. Those are like the high level steps. There's other things you can do, but that's what you need. So we've done this part, and now if we just go, again, we can cat all these pieces, and we should be able to cat all those. Yep. And then we're just going to run it. We're just going to run and deploy that. You'll notice that we never built the client. We didn't build that role down there. And one of those nodes is going to need to do what's ever in that environment. However, roles only inherit what they have to do. So if there's no tasks in there, you're just going to see it not do anything. The client side of this isn't set up yet. So the client side of it's safe to run because it's just going to be ignored. Like it's going to skip it. So the server was set up, and the running handler, because this was changed, had to run. Now some of you guys know exactly what I'm going to do next. I'm going to rerun this playbook, and my prediction is we're going to have the NFS server already, so this is going to say okay, it's going to be green. Then it's not going to have to make the share, so this is going to be green. This isn't going to have to change because it's already been put in that file, so that's going to be green. And this won't even show up because if you didn't call it, if somebody didn't notify that handler to run, then the handler doesn't have to do anything. So I'm just going to rerun it. And this is one of these things I always tell you guys, like one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. I could have guessed that all that was going to happen, or I could have known because I've tested it, right? Hey, thanks for the follow, Namels Can. Hopefully this stuff, or name LS, or I don't know what that is. I'll just call you Name. I try to parse people's names out and I can never do it because that could be Name LS Can. I don't know. I'm just going to call you Name. Hopefully that's good. Thanks for the follow. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. We are going to then go look and see that show mount-e shows an export on node 01. Node 01 is good. So we'll pop over here. Now we deployed the NFS server. We need to configure the client portion. The client portion is very similar to the server portion. It's just going to be down in its own directory. So we just ls into NFS client. And now we just got to put something down in tasks main and probably down in handlers. Although, strictly speaking, the client doesn't actually have to reboot or restart the service. So we should just be able to mount. I don't think we have a handler in there. Well, let's go check. So we will copy over each of the pieces. The first piece looks like this. We install NFS common, and then we try to mount that directly from node01 share, that's the other node, to our /mount directory as NFS, and we'll call it mounted. And actually, that's all we need to do. That's actually all we need to do. We don't have a handler, so it's just that one piece. We'll run it. Now you're going to see it skip the other node because there's nothing for it to do. But then so the server part skipped control plane still, but it's okay for node 01. Nothing had to happen. But now the client data needs to get installed. Can? All right, I'll call you Can. I'm pretty bad with names on here. Can, C-A-N. And I'm bad with names, and then my CC is even worse with names, apparently. All right, so that ran. So now that should be mounted here. If I do a df-h, I should see that. Yeah, there it is. It's mounted right there. And if I cat etcfs tab, I should see it set to persistently come up on reboots of this box. So there we go. The system's doing the things it's supposed to. So I come over here, and I say, why is the roles directory lower than the playbook that you're running? This answer might not be intuitive. It might be intuitive to you, but it might not be. If we are down here, by default, without changing anything else, this playbook will inherit things that are in lower directories from it. Roles is commonly what we use. I don't know if Ansible will go look in all the files, in all the file systems, but I do know that it'll always look in roles. I've never went and tried making other ones and doing that and stuff. I don't try to trick my tools. If I have my tool working a certain way, I allow it to work. And in this case, I will tell you, as long as you have the playbook higher in the directory structure than the roles that you want to inherit, it will go find them. And it will look for the things to be in those role directories that your Galaxy will make. You do not have to use Ansible Galaxy. Look, there is nothing special. There's nothing special about any of these directories right here. Nothing. They were simply created by Ansible Galaxy with an init to make my life easier. I could have manually made simply the tasks directory, and I did not need these other ones. Right? They are it's simply a hierarchical path, and Ansible will look in here for tasks. It'll also go and it'll look in here for if you've got variables and other things, and you can store things so that your playbooks are completely self-contained and then can be used by other tools or other people can bring in their environment scripts and deploy things based on stuff that you've written. And this is where Ansible starts to be really kind of powerful in an environment where, and I think I've told you guys this a lot. Some of you are probably tired of hearing me say this, but I'll write something and I'll write let's say an NFS deploy like this, and then part of it would be to install New Relic. New Relic's a tool, New Relic Datadog. New Relic's a tool that we put on systems so that we can monitor how applications are working. So maybe with this NFS, maybe this is a web server. It's like Apache Tomcat. So it's Apache, Tomcats, all this stuff run on a web server. And I want to have Datadog on there, but for whatever application and whatever environment we're using, it's got a different license key. And those license keys tie back to where it sends it and stuff. So then I could use something like this to deploy it, but then down in these actual things. So let's say it's in a client. So I cd to roles, NFS, let's just say this was Datadog, and I could have down here some vars, and those vars could be populated, or as somebody calls my actual playbook up here, we can put one of the things we... what the hell am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing anymore, guys. It's too late in the week. You just got to remember. So we can say vars underscore files. So we can add right here. We can say... just like that. It's vars files. I know it's weird. And in here, I can say, for you to run this, you need to bring an environment.yaml file with you. And when you bring that environment.yaml file and run it, I will pull environmental values out of that override different things that are in the playbook or whatever, right? So anyways, I come up here, I run this again, and it says, oh, an environment.yaml wasn't found, so I might touch... oh, I didn't have to quit it. And then we run it. Let's see if it works. By the way, you might look down and go, wait a minute, Sky, you put an environment.yaml there, but it's empty. Yeah, it'll run. And watch this. I can go in there. It's a YAML file, right? So I could just start adding user, Scott, stream, yes, playbook, incomplete, right? I could do whatever I want in here. And you say, well, what does Ansible do with that? Ansible will just carry that along and never use any of those variables because we never used them. But those are now part of that playbook. I could debug those variables in this playbook if I wanted to, right? I could just have something that debugs, debug all at the end or whatever. But the point in all this is to show you that, well, mainly for this one was the NFS deploy. It says, why is the roles directory lower to the playbook? Because then it will be automatically inherited by the playbook. If you want to override, you can make, you could just make a roles directory somewhere on your server, and then you can override the behavior of Ansible with Ansible. There's a config file. It's an Etsy Ansible. Called ansible.cfg, and you can come in here and you can always say here's a roles path, additional paths to search for roles in : separated. So I could say Etsy Ansible roles, which is the default one, is somewhere that you can always look for roles in, and then I could put every role that I've ever written in there, right? Some of you guys have been around in my home lab, right? Where's my home lab here? If we go jumping into my home lab, root stream. Here's a bunch of playbooks that I have, and then everything down in roles. These are the roles that are inherited by anything up here. So if I want to more facts example. This is a fax play. This was us debugging something. Hold on. Let's go look at Promtail deploy. Promtail deploy just goes and deploys Promtail to whatever servers that I told it to. And I'm using a variable here so that I can just pass in the host list that I want right on the command line. I can I can actually pass that in as straight individual hosts, or I can tell it to only use certain hosts out of a file right there. So that's just a variable that I use so people can't accidentally run my plays. And then if you say, what does that do? So then I cd down into roles, Promtail, tasks, main, and this is what it does. It creates a directory. It pushes over some things that are down in there, and it pushes them over individually into the opt Promtail directory that we just made, copies over a service file, and then it goes ahead and restarts the service. So let's go look at that file or those files real quick. They're down in files. It pushes over Promtail Linux AMD right here. This is an executable file. It pushes over the Promtail local config, and that's what's going to be called as part of this service file. So let's look at the Promtail local config. We actually set this up in one of the labs. It's varlog messages and varlog secure, so this is for Red Hat, CentOS, Rocky, those type of environments. And the service file is going to run, and it's just going to start that opt promtail executable by calling that config file that we just looked at. That's it. That's the whole startup of that system. Just starts the service when it comes up. That's all it does. Nothing magical, nothing up my sleeve. That's all it does. Some of this stuff probably looks somewhat complex, but I assure you it's not. It just takes some time to look at it, some time to figure out, oh, Scott was just literally using a template to say if it's the job messages, it's var log messages, and if it's secure, it's secure. And then you say, well, where does that all feed to? Well, that all goes to Loki, and then Loki feeds out over to here. So this is all my Loki logs. So in the last 6 hours, these are all... What the hell's Ranger doing? In the last 6 hours, these are all the things that have tried to log into my system. All these nodes right here tried to log in. I can see how they tried to log in. There's a preponderance of the word root, so people tried to come in as root a whole bunch, but people tried to come in as other things as well. Oh yeah, Ranger's definitely living his best life. I had left this on rotate, so this is just going to sit and rotate through the different pieces, you know, the different pieces of the home lab that we like to review. Yep, there's Ranger. All right. So, you know, think about this stuff. Take a real quick break and look at my phone here for a second. See if there's anything useful going on. All right. So it's funny when people come in and join and they got like brand new accounts, because, you know, typically, and you know, the anonymity of the internet gives people like great courage in this life. But yeah, Robodom, why don't you clean that up if you're around? If not, I'll do it. But yeah, this is the environment. I got to clean up the environment here. I got to reboot some of these nodes and patch them and that kind of stuff. I'll probably do that. We gotta do that sometime this week. I'll do it. There we go. All right. When somebody makes like a brand new account and then like joins because they're trying to troll me, it's typically because they're. I'm 100% sure it's because they're online. let's just get that straight, because there's not many people that would want to do that. Probably like a very small percentage of the population that would want to do that if they were in a room with me. But anyways. Yeah, there's this asshole that just keeps coming around and he's basically just yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm telling you, like, I mean, you know, it's people who like look at your shoes when you're in the same room with them. That it's like, well, you know, like what's going on here? But anyways, you know, that's life for some people. That's like the best thing they've got, I guess. But I'm not too worried about them. They're gonna probably do that their whole life, I imagine, and then just like die in anonymity of the internet. Like, you know, I guess that's how some people want to live. But all right, let's keep going here. I've actually, by the way, I've reported them twice now, and I'm gonna try to see if Twitch will let me know who they are. I just want Twitch to give me an IP. That's all they need. That's all I need. I just want an IP. I just wanna show them. But we'll not worry about that for now, guys. If that ever comes to fruition, I'll show you guys that and what that looks like. But For now, we're just doing systems work. You know, that's what we do here officially. So let's stay with that. We've got all this. We've checked the system out. We can escape :Q, and we can check here that it's mounted. We see it mounted here with the defaults. These are all the default values of the mounts right here. And yeah, there we go. Okay. Man, people. All right. So where are we at? We got that done. That part of the lab. Let's get this out of the way. Showed you guys all that. And it says right here, where's this handler? So why are the roles directory lower than where we're at? We know that. This next part is, what is the handler that you used to set up the NFS server? And the handler is found here. So we'll look at where we're at. And we're in Etsy Ansible, so we got to go back to root Ansible, right? And then in our roles, the only role that had a playbook was the NFS server, right? Then if we look in the handlers, we could have individual named handlers that'll actually read all the files out of there. But most of us leave it down in the NFS server, right? And in the NFS server here, we've got to restart NFS. That's what's called from the task when we want to notify that something's changed. It's a simple systemd module. The state is restarted, and then the name is the NFS server. So that's the name of the service that we want to restart out of systemd. So if we had to go check on that, SSH2 node 01, we should be able to say systemctl status NFS-server, and it should find that by name, right? So we can see all the pieces right there. You know, Robodom, I suspect that person just comes in here and like seethes and gets all mad. Like they probably sit there like this. Hold on. I gotta find it here, because they make these accounts like 3 minutes before they join. Hold on. They're this is what they sit there and look like the whole time. This guy right here. That's them. That's what I think. Or like this. And they're just crying back behind whatever. This is what I imagine that person does before they go and they make those. They're just sitting there crying. They're like, "Oh man, I could have learned something. I could have learned something and not been like a, you know, I don't know, whatever for the rest of your life. You could have went and been an engineer, but you wanted to jack off on the internet and be an idiot instead." So, all right. It won't say Jack. Yeah, it will. All right, there we go. Excuse me. So, we check this. Go check the system. It says, look at you learning Ansible. Use Ansible, deploy NFS server and client via Ansible playbook. Keep working in the lab to increase functionality of your deployment tool. So there we go. What is the handler we used? We found the handler. The handler was inherited in the NFS server role. It is NFS. It is restart. And upper and lower case do matter, as do spaces. So if you have spaces in the names, you have to have them in there. So when you notify the handler, it has to look exactly like that. So you say, well, how does that look? So we go down to tasks. Where the hell am I? Oh, I'm on the wrong node. Handlers. No, we want to be back in tasks. And then here, we notified it by restart space NFS. Right. You can notify more than one handler too, if you wanted to. But you got to remember, handlers do not run unless they are notified of a change from a task. So it's always an important thing to note. They do not happen by default. They only happen if something triggers them. So said, oh, here's the next part. And this answer comes from the other one. Why did we create a share with owner nobody and group nobody. And the answer is so that we could export the file system with NFS and allow others to write to it. Now, you can share that out, and if between your systems you want to make sure in the Linux world, and actually this is one of the challenges in the Linux world, is to keep all of your etc passwd and etc group correct. They need to be the same across all your systems. So there's a couple of ways that we do that. And it's etc passwd. So it's this file. And it's this file. Those two files, well, shadow as well. There's and gshadow. So there's 4 files in what are called in the shadow. They're considered part of the shadow suite. It's passwd, group, gshadow, and shadow. And those files, here's the thing about it. We can't have them different, because if they are different in any way, and I go to install, let's say I go to install some software package on control plane, and it happens to give it, number 10. It's the next one, and it's not taken, and it gives it number 10 as the user ID, which is fine, because maybe the package I'm installing is a system level package. But then on the other server, 10 happens to be taken, so it gives it 11. Now you got a problem. Now those two services will never be the same in a shared environment. Like if they ever had to write to shared storage, one's coming in on UID 11 and the other's coming in on UID 10, and that's going to be a problem forever. You can set SGUID, yeah, the set GUID, right? You can set that so that they all write to a shared directory the same way, but even then, for permissions reasons, it's better to have them all the same. And in cluster management, we actually handle this. So like if we go to like XCAT, read the docs for XCAT, which is a very still pretty common HPC type tooling, although IBM has stopped supporting it as much. But this is what it does, right? IBM stopped supporting this, and now, so they're all done. But now it's actually my company, Redline, and 2 other companies have been rewriting this. So XCAT's still going to exist and still have support in the future. But anyways, we get over here to like the admin guide. Oh, something's down. There we go. Some kind of bad gateway thing. Let's go to. They have all kinds of stuff in here, but we should be able to look at database. We can do it in database too. But we can push files. This is one of the ways that we sync files in an environment, so everything stays the same, and it actually makes it. There's a lot of convenience to it. It keeps people from one-offing and building stuff on different servers without updating the generic host file centrally. We won't get into that too much, but the point is, we set owner nobody and group nobody so that we could properly share that out in the lab. That's the answer to the question over here. And I said, how would you add more clients to this deployment? So, somebody in your environment, you have 30 nodes that need to connect to one, 30 clients that need to connect to one server. Well, you would do something like this. You would just go add more of these type clients, and you might even do it like, I'll show you guys. This is the way you might do this. You might say, so your original setup was like this, but maybe we rip this out and we say that's, maybe that's my NFS servers, right? And this is just for my inventory, and then I say NFS clients, and then down here whoops, just paste that in, right? Oh, there's control plane. But maybe I don't want to write this for all my nodes, right? D dollar to delete to the end of the line, and maybe I'm gonna make like I don't know, 0 0 and then whoops. Right, we do something like this, and then we just make this one, right, something like this. But then we want to, we still need that type, right? So maybe what we do is at the top of this, we go like this, and we say something like NFS clients vars, right? And then now we say type equals server. And then now the clients here will all have that at the end. And then maybe we want to clean this up, so then we, you know, come here, move this down, and we do the same thing here, and we say NFS servers vars, right? And then we say type equals server. And maybe that just looks nicer to you, right? I don't know. And maybe that's a little easier for you to maintain. You know, you can move these vars off to the bottom so they're out of the way. But the point is, this is another way you can do. Oh, what client? My bad. I did that to test you guys. So you could do this, right? And then now this would still feed into that. This would still feed into this correctly now if I wanted to run it. Now it'll break on the 3 nodes that don't exist, right? There's or actually none of those nodes exist. So it'll break on those 4 nodes that don't exist. That's fine because maybe they're not there yet. But it would properly have them set. This is going to break on those 4 because they don't exist. But it'll still work for the other one if it needed to. Then you'll see the ones that failed. Let's VI that file real quick and we'll make this one just like the original control plane. He'll still work. So we'll still see these split out to, see those will all break, that's fine. But then we'll see the server gets the server stuff still. And the client gets the client stuff still. And then the other ones are, I mean, hopefully you understand why those ones are broken. They don't exist in the environment, right? But the question that we asked over there is, could we add more to this? And the answer is yes. And we could break it out so it looks like this because maybe this is more clean to us. By the way, it doesn't matter where you put these. You can put these at the bottom. Maybe you want the host list at the top and then all the vars defined at the bottom. You can do this. This is a way to do it. Actually, there's other ways to do it. You could stamp the file. Yeah, you could stamp things with Jinja. So yeah, it says, how would you add more clients to this deployment? And then you say add this to the root host file. Right, something like this. You just grab this. Oh, whoops. I can tab that all in, can't I? Yeah, there we go. Get rid of that. Add that to the root host file. Boom. All right. So that's that. So next one is generate CSV report, and we've done this one before. We've done this one before on stream, but we'll do this one next. So the next one is what values did we capture in the data gather rule? So what values did we capture in the data gather rule? Okay, let's try this. So back out of this lab. If anybody wants to do the lab with me, you can. It goes to right here. Yep. I will link this one for you guys. I think the other one has fallen off. And I can unpin it on the YouTube side, pin it on the Twitch side, and pin it on the YouTube side. And that message over there. All right, so now you guys have it. And this one I actually wrote this after I had to do this. So this is a real thing that you may get from management. somebody may come along and say, hey, can't, we have through maybe years and years of doing this cluster and having different admins and documentation not up to par. We need to add, or we need to figure out where some of this data is at. We need to get it from the systems. The only thing that knows in all the world is the system. We don't know it. The documentation doesn't know it. Somebody retired. When I came onto this team that I had recently left, there was how many? There was 2 people on the team, and 4 of them had recently left, and they had, between the 4 of them, like 60 years worth of knowledge of this system. So I came on, and it was these 2 people running around, and we rebuilt the team back up to like 8 or 9 of us. That was what my last year contract for a college was helping rebuild that team. So and that involved modernizing the Ansible and modernizing how we do monitoring and just getting XCAT under control, because XCAT was still their choice at the time of how they did their tooling or whatever. So all right, let's do this one. So we've got the lab, we got it pinned. People should be back from commercials. And it says, management has requested that you provide system information about all of the systems in your high-performance compute cluster and give it to them in a format that they can digest via Excel. If you guys have ever fed management any type of information in your career, I assure you it will probably be in CSV. They'll ask, hey, can I get that as an Excel doc? And you're like, yeah, okay. So let's see if we can feed them that information the way that they want to see it, right? Can we make that data come out correctly? So here's our activities, right? It says you've decided to build an Ansible playbook that can report out in .csv format and make them happy. Yeah, I don't want to go pull that information from 5,000 servers myself. I want to use a tool for it, right? I'm going to build a little tool. So we'll verify that we've got our root hosts. Hosts. There we go. And then we'll make sure that we've got this directory. Hey, Monkey Man, how's it going? We're just chilling on a Friday. We're not working too hard, right, guys? Just kind of hanging out. And we are working through some system stuff. And I'm right at the end of the kind of like Socratic method for Ansible, asking questions, taking notes, that kind of stuff. So that's where we're at. We're hanging out. Yeah, it's a pretty chill Friday. We were checking on Ranger Dog earlier too. Checking on the home lab. There's Ranger. He has since moved. He was on this bed earlier. Now he's over on this bed. Lab needs to be patched and updated. I got a lot of work I got to do in the lab, guys. I've been super swamped at actual work. So this is kind of me blowing off steam for a little bit here. All right, so let's do this. We looked at our root hosts, got that. And we're going to make directories for root playbook roles and root playbook reports. And then we're going to CD down into root playbook roles. And in there, we're going to check that there's nothing there. And we're going to generate this data gather directory. And then if we check it again, there is our playbook all formatted out the way that we want. Hey, Moop Moop, how's it going? I think we're good. I think that we're all good here. All right, so we'll copy in. We've got some answer files, and we're going to copy in the answer file of the data gatherer playbook, and this is what it looks like. It's super simple. It's just 3 dashes to let us know it's YAML. It is our very common header for an Ansible playbook. Just says the name. This is an arbitrary name, whatever you wanted it to be. Servers is the name of the host. It's the host group that's in the inventory file that you choose to give to the playbook. We happen to know that that's this file right here, and that happens to then be the host group. Inside of that inventory file is servers, and that's where we got servers from. Again, you guys saw me use this nomenclature earlier, and right here you see this I'll just go pull it up. Hold on. You guys saw me use this nomenclature for how I hand in my hosts, and I just use it as a variable, and then the variable can be passed at the command line. So there's a bunch of different ways to feed. In fact, there's 22 different ways to feed variable information into Ansible. And if you say, why is it 22? Well, if you come over here to, you just go to the documentation, Ansible variables, right? And you just come down to Ansible variable use, like how do we use the variables? And then we just go down here to what's called variable precedence. You'll see that there's all of these ways that variables can be passed in, right? Here they are. And the highest precedence is down here, which is at the command line, which is how I do it. Okay. I'll let you guys Google that if you want. It's just Ansible variables. It'll come up. And you can go look at that. It's precedence. We're looking for variable precedence. How can I hand something in? And in this case, I'm just handing in at the command line the host that I want to use, and then it'll go run the correct host group out of that playbook. We have no special vars. We could also put the vars here if we wanted. We're going to gather facts true, so it picks up information about the servers. We need that. And then we're going to say become true. We don't need that because we're root, but if we had a specific sudo method, we could become the root user. And then tasks, if we had any specialized tasks, those tasks would happen after the roles. If we wanted to do tasks before the roles, we would do pre-tasks right here, pre-tasks. But we don't. We just want to inherit that role and run it, so everything's good. So we looked at that. That's easy enough, right? We just have to play with these to understand them. And now I'm going to go look in what's going on over here. We'll copy this main.yaml in and go look at it. And this is a little bit longer than other ones, but look at it. It's simply a whole bunch of comments for us. And I say that there are basically 5 things I want to know. The first 3 things that I want to know about the server, these were actually 5 things I was asked for by management. The first 3 things, the server name, the server make, and the server model, I could just get from Ansible facts. So I just put in comments, I'm going to get those from facts. Then there were 2 other values, a proc type and a socket number, that I could not get from facts correctly, and I had to go write these commands and register out proc type for processor type and socket as variables that I could then use in my Jinja 2 template to feed out all my data. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Gather all the data, organize all the data, spit all the data out in a CSV format. A .csv format for typically management to then go and turn into. Management wants to turn everything into Excel, right? Isn't that how you feed managers and keep them happy? Yeah, it is. We can debug things if we need to, and if I debug, I'll just debug all the variables out to the screen, so there'll just be a big dump of everything to the screen, and that would be useful. And then I deploy it with a template, and that template is a CSV found right here. And it says to copy that in, right? So we have it. But it says what's some information in there that might be useful to know. There's an Ansible date time.iso 8601 underscore basic underscore short. This timestamp right here is real nice looking for file systems. So I like using that one. You can use any one you want that you find in there. And if you say, Scott, how do I find them? Well, I show you very early on, but it looks like this. If you need it, it looks like this. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this thing from blowing my notebook everywhere. All right. Let's just go here. We would say Ansible servers -i root hosts. And then in here, we would give a module called setup. And if we just ran this play, this is a Ansible ad hoc play against the system, and it'll just go hit all the nodes that are in there, and it'll just dump everything to the screen. But I'm going to tell you that we can filter, and we do this again in one of the earlier labs, we can filter by saying filter equals to Ansible date time. So if I know what the variable starts with, I can use it. And if I use this, it'll feed out real nice to me. These are all the things I can do. So again, if you don't like that timestamp and you think it looks ugly, this is the one that I use. And you want to use one of the other ones, you can. The most common type of timestamp you're going to run into probably in all of your career is this one right here. It's just this one with the everything in here is nice until you get to here, and these don't work well with the file system. You have to escape them, right? So we don't like those. So that's why I like this one so much. But you can use anything you want, right? This is I'm just here to show you guys how the tool works. And because I'm telling you, once you get it to work, you go, oh, that's it? Oh, okay. And then you'll modify it down the way that you need. So let's go look at our Jinja template. This is a mess. And when I say it's a mess, what I mean is it's just going to be a lot of information. So I'm gonna make it the whole screen for a second. And let's go look at what that playbook's going to look, or what that's going to look like. It's going to say, okay, all we need at the top, it's a comma separated value file. If you've never heard of CSV or comma separated value, what it means is this is going to be date right here is going to be the first field, the first column. This will be the second column. This will be the third column, fourth column, right? And then I'm going to loop over my play hosts. And if I have socket in there, meaning that the play ran, then I'm going to drop the date and time and the time into that first column under date. Then I'm going to, the second column, which will be node name, will be this value right here. The next value, which will be server make, will be this one right here. It's called system vendor inside of there. The next one will be the product name or the server model. And then the processor type comes from that little that shell command we ran, right? And then the socket type comes from the standard output of the socket that was looking for, and that's the number of sockets. Yeah, so number of sockets, and then processor type is right here. All right, so we've got all the pieces of data that we need, hopefully, to run this out and give us a nice CSV, comma separated value for this. All right. So we come over here, and it says to run the playbook gatherer. So let's run it. And it'll go and it'll gather our tasty little data for us. And we didn't want to debug, so it didn't debug for us. But it did write out a template file. So if we go look at the template files, there's one in there. And this is the output of that file right here. So if you said, Scott, can you positively prove that that is a good CSV? I say, yeah. In the systems world, I would just do an SCP and copy it down. But here, I would just come over here, and I would make a new one of these. And I would drop this in there, right? It looks fine. And I would say file, save as, and I can just save it as. Let's go to downloads, and we'll call this, it's not going to be a normal text file. We can change it if we wanted to. We'll just change it here to a .csv. So look for CS. Where does the C's at? CSV. Yeah, we just type it. I don't know why I don't see. It may end up being, hold on. You could, you do it like this. Just do all types. That's also fine. And then just say test.csv, right? Oh, I'm not going to replace that one because that one might be real. Let's just call this like stream test.csv, right? And then now that's going to come up. And I'll just go look here in my downloads, right? Because that's just where I dropped it. Downloads. And it'll be right here. And now if that opens up inside of Excel, the way that I want it to, there we go. Oh. Grabbed all the data that we thought we wanted from the system. And I claim no great expertise over here, guys. None. I claim no great expertise in this space. But what I know is management loves this stuff. And I can feed this out from as many servers as I have by doing this. And you might say, that sounds silly. Why wouldn't management already have that? Guys, I've had to do this before. I've had to take management requests like this and pull information out of servers. This is just an example of 5 fields that you might need to know. And these were actually 5 that I was specifically asked for against our cluster, because we didn't know how many cores were in systems because they had been bought at different times, even within the same generation of systems. We had all this stuff we needed to know. So I use this to kind of... Now, look, it's going to ask me, do I want to change it? Because things that I just did to the file aren't inherently in a .csv. And I'm going to say don't save, because if I did want to save that, I would have to change it out of that format, right? But if management asks for a CSV, there you go. You can just give them a CSV like that. So let's pull this back over. I knew that was going to be super messy. That's why I made it big like that. And then we go down here and we run it again, so we debug it a few times. Now with the debug, it's going to throw everything at the screen. Remember I told you guys it would tell me all my values? So now I can go look and say, oh yeah, the values are right, or no, the values are not right. All of these should come back as debugged correctly, because if they didn't debug correctly, they wouldn't write to the template correctly, which is useful for troubleshooting, knowing how to use your tool. And then now I can see that there's 2 runs there because I've done it twice. And this is a very simple way to generate a CSV and be able to see what's going on. So it says, what values did we capture in the data gather role? We wanted to... Oh, so what were the facts? 3 of them were from the Ansible facts. And then 2 of them were from shell scripts or shell commands, right? And then what did I say here? How did we gather them? This module will always show this module, or when you run the shell module, it will always show that the value, or that the output was changed. That's a limitation of Ansible. This is something to know. You'll hear people say, you can never run a shell script in an Ansible playbook. If you ever run a shell script in an Ansible playbook, the playbook can't be idempotent. They're technically correct. But if you understand that, you can write things correctly and do things well, like this. This is gathering the socket number. It has to be changed because it's a shell script. But I understand that, and I'm okay with that because it's a check. I'm literally only doing a check with a grep. I am not breaking the system in any way. Same thing here. And the fact is, I understand why my things run the way they do, so that gives me the freedom. Like I always tell you guys, like with a kid, you tell a kid you can't cross the street. And does that kid never get to cross the street for the rest of their life? No, it's when you're like 3 to 6 years old and you don't know to look for cars correctly. But when you get a little older, like we played in the streets growing up, you just had to watch for cars and then yell car when a car came by, and then you'd get yourself and your wiffle ball bat out of the way and then let the car go by. Then you get back out there and you'd keep hitting the ball, right? That's what we would do. This is like playing as kids, right? And it's the same kind of thing here. Like when you first hear about it and people are like, oh, never run a script, never run a shell command, never run a command module. There's reasons to. You just have to know why, right? All right. Then I asked this question. So there are things that happened. We'll go back down here. At the very end of that. So if we cat main.yaml. At the very end. Oh, God damn it. Hold on. It's going to bug me. All right. All right. At the end, right, it says right here, the question is, why was it necessary in the template deployment task to use the arguments run once? You should see that at the bottom there, run once, and delegate to and it says, what did each of them do? So run once, true means, and sometimes for comments we'll do this in scripts, right? Means that the system, or that the task only executes one time in the run. However, if you don't do delegate to localhost, if you don't do that one, it can run wherever it wants. Forces it to only happen on the node that we want it to. Not an arbitrary node. Ansible would pick an arbitrary node, guys. I don't even know how it picks it. I think it's just whichever node, I don't know, maybe responds first. I actually don't know the mechanism Ansible uses to pick, but it will just pick any other node out there. So what it would be trying to do is on some node out in our cluster of 1,200 nodes, it would try to be writing this template that was sourced locally to this destination locally. Well, actually, you know what? I take it back. This source would work, but this destination would not, absolutely would not be on that other node. The source would work, as long as we didn't say remote source true. So this would be fine. But we just do this because now we can control the loop. We can control the execution of the task to only happen once and only on the node we want it to. This is a very important part of this playbook. Very important part. It has to be there. All right. So I told you guys when this was done, I would drop these notes in there. So some of you guys watch for it in the. I think I'll put it in the. Where did I put it last time? Hold on. Where did I put it last time? I think last time I put it under presentations. Yeah. This was the Socratic Linux one. So if you guys need to just start with Linux and understand, listing the number of CPUs and tell me the speed in megahertz and all this stuff, you can go plunder this stuff out of our Discord and leave. I don't care. I just have this for you guys to go in there and look. This is like the whole community here. We were doing all these commands. People were showing me all these other commands that were different than how I did it, and they're there. And the Socratic method. Here's the question. So here's the questions and here's the answers. So you could just literally jump into one of these environments. You can go to Killer Coda. You could just go to Killer Coda for free. On nothing here is paid for. This is all free. Go right here to the single node environment. I would recommend going to the double environment. Like come back out and say, oh, you know what? No, I would prefer to be in a Kubernetes environment because then this will be, a 2-node environment. And then just start running through the commands. There's all the commands right there for you to. Can you determine the maximum transmission unit of a network with ping? Yeah, we can. All right. So anyways, that's I'll post these up there here in a little bit. I'll do it by the end of the stream here or so. Well, maybe a little after stream. So what else do we have? I'm going to be working here in a little bit again. It's actually funny. I'm going to be working for the next few hours on some stuff. And then I will be around tomorrow. I will try to stream some tomorrow, probably working on the book, because the book's been published, but anybody that's ever bought the book before, they get updates. And I'm going to try to get an update out right before our big event in August. And what it'll do is it'll push an update to everybody that has the book. It sends you an email and tells you there's a new version out. So I think that's a good thing for you guys. Hold on 1 second here real quick. Where's my... I know I have... I guess I could press it here. Hold on a second. I was looking for my... Let's see, you guys can hear me. Okay, good. I was looking for my mute on my speaker, but I thought I had one down here too that I could use, but I don't know. Anyways, all right. So that's most of the work part of this. The rest of the stuff that we have to do, that I was going to do today, is all just kind of us messing around. Oh shoot, wrong one. Hold on. What I was thinking of doing is pulling up our Prometheus instance, and let's do... Let's get out of here. Go to Prometheus. And do we have... There's just their normal monitoring stuff. Hold on, I got their... Got my Prometheus primer up here somewhere. Let's pull up this cheat sheet. Skip verification. Boom. I don't know if you guys have played with this. I'm gonna link this over to you guys here. We'll pull this out a little bit. I'll link this. Let me unlink some of this other stuff here. Unpin. And the other one's already gone, so that's fine. I'll pin this to anybody that wants to work on it. But if you guys have not seen this, I will link it here. It's linked, and I will pin it on the YouTube side so you guys can see it. But this is a nice little tool if you're trying to learn the PromQL, which is a huge part of the PCA test, but it's also just a big part of using Prometheus in general. So one of the things you can do here is you can come in and you can actually just go and run the commands, and you can come in and see what the output would be as you execute it in a lab environment. And you say, okay, I can get the node CPU seconds total for the nodes that are there. It looks like I have node exporter here, and it looks like I have just this one system, just the node exporter on just one system, and I have two CPUs, CPU 0 and CPU 1. So now I can start to filter down if I need to, right? And I can filter down by being exclusive and using the labels. So I can say, in here, I can just say CPU equals 0, right? And I just want to use that CPU, and I'll hit enter. And now it'll only give me those ones, right? But then I've asked for this, and maybe I only want the some of these. Maybe I don't want all of them, so maybe I want to filter them down a little more. Maybe I only want them for the last 5 minutes. This is interesting then. And then now I'll get the actual reads for the last 5 minutes against the CPU, right? So I'll just find out the CPU. And then maybe I want to know only how idle the system is, right? And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say mode is equal to idle. And then now I do that, and I see only for CPU 0, how idle is it? And I see here some value right over here, which is going to be, you know, whatever that is for the system, right? Whatever these values are that we're reading out of the overall system, right? And that can be, well, so we might have to compare that, right? I might have to say, let's take this out, and let's take this out. And I have idle. Idle is something I think we could look at. So how idle is the system? We can look at how much the user and the system are, because that's going to be some percentages. Robodom, by the way, giving you guys the Discord. Yep, Discord's always there for you guys. You guys can hang out down there. There's been a lot of memes today. We've had a whole bunch of memes today around the CrowdStrike stuff. So there's some pretty good stuff down in there, I think. I tell everybody, I joke around all the time about how the Discord is really just there to help me harvest memes from you guys. I've been trying to just get it moving enough to just give me like a feed of memes. But anyway, so look, I'm filtering all this stuff down. I'm messing with it. I can jump back out here to what I linked to you guys, and I can see all of these things. Oh, by the way, here's all these series. So I was doing all the things that we were just seeing. Oh, look at this one. This one is node CPU seconds for not CPU 0, right? It's going to only give me CPU 1, and only when the mode is something like user and system, right? So let's go look at this, and it'll say user and system. So this filtered down to only CPU 1. It's not CPU 0. By the way, this will be interesting for me, because at work we pin a certain number of nodes. So like or CPUs. So we have we have boxes with like 256 CPUs or 512 CPUs, and there's more out there, but those are kind of like big dense ones that we use in some of our high performance compute. And you say that many cores? Yes, that's how many cores we have. Yes, they're huge boxes. They're built for speed, right? But sometimes CPU 0 through like 3, so the first 4 are pinned to a certain type of execution for whatever the environment is. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but there are tools that require you to use a certain amount of the system and pin those CPU cores to only that. So for me, I might want to know only if it's like 0 through 3, and because I want to see how that part of the system's performing, and then all the rest. And you might say, well, couldn't you carve that with like C groups or tuned and maybe figure out and yeah, you can, but it's easier to pin the CPUs for the purpose. So there's something like that. So anyway, so look at this. So I got to just practice these and get better. Select day from 1 day ago and shift it to the current. Oh, that's interesting. So we'll just go offset of 1 day and look at 1 day ago. It's interesting. And then maybe we compare that to now, right? Right, so then we take the offset away. And we see what the values are now. 1D, right? That was their offset. So that's interesting. They'll show that. And there's things you can do in here where there's actual functions, right? So they're going to show functions over here. So if there's a rate of increase, it'll give you this. And this is actually one, so we wrote this the other day. We have a certain set of nodes running in Slurm, right? Let's say that there's like 100 nodes in Slurm. And what we did was we looked at the number of, this would be, let's try instance. We might not have nodes. Those might be like node. Do I have uptime? No, I don't see any uptime. So node system. No? I know there's an uptime. We'd have to find what uptime is, but the point is, we're using a Slurm tool, so it's a little different on our queries. But we were doing the rate, and if the increase, so if it increased up, we wanted to know if it was ever greater than 0. We wanted to know, because what would happen then was there was a failure. Abdun, over on the YouTube side said, hello, Tanis, how you doing? I am good. I am hanging out on a Friday, right, end of work. Although I am going to hop back on for a little bit in like 30 minutes and probably get a little bit more stuff done, get some stuff done this weekend. And then this next week I've got to do some work out at a facility in Chandler again. So I'll be doing work over there. Just a lot of work, you know. This is the industry. You know, my company does a lot of contract stuff and then does a lot of individual like node and cluster deploys around, and I've been getting into doing some more of that. Whereas like normally they send me out to, I don't want to say like be a heavy hitter, but normally they send me out to like embed and help make like a team work better and like systems work better and that kind of stuff. Like I embed pretty well with teams typically. People like working with me. I got a nice little LinkedIn write up a couple days ago that kind of felt good. I dropped it down the Discord, but what was I thinking? Oh yeah, anyways, but I've been doing like more of this like high paced, like we got to get all these tasks done before next week, and like going out and actually being in a skiff where I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi in any way, and like I have what I brought in there with me, you know, like I don't have any other way to check things. I can't Google things, like I just have to know them, and it's interesting. So Yeah, Abden, I enjoy what I do. I also enjoy my free time because, like, big part of being an engineer is knowing how to decompress, I think. And this stuff may look like it's work to me, but this is actually pretty fun, right? Like, I enjoy doing this stuff. Looking at the increase in the last hour, how's the API doing, right? We turned on the API, by the way, in our own system. We turned on the API. It looks like this one just gets pounded all the time. But status 200s are better than 500s. And then there may be an all. Let's see if they have all. Bar. So here's 200s and 500s. You can actually get totals. Oh, and you can calculate totals too if you want. Yeah, Robed on Passion. Yeah. Yeah, Abden, sometimes I just kind of hang out, depending on how warm it is in Phoenix. I will not always hop on because then I got to put my green screen behind me and it messes up the airflow in my office. My office has 3 big servers in it, so I kind of I generate a little bit more heat in here than the rest of the house. So I hopped on earlier for about a minute or two, maybe a few seconds. I don't know, but yeah, look at this aggregation over time. They show you how to preserve the job instance and label dimensions as you pull things in, so you can sum them up. You can add things, right? So this is good. Add all the values of node exporter, whatever this is. File system bytes, yeah, and it just added it all up. But it used the job and the instance. I like that. So then you can keep that and you can filter that down, or you can look for that. So keep doing this. One of the ones we had worked on in the home lab, let me move this over. This is us just messing around over here, right? This is, you just go press those buttons and, you know, system go burr, right? But what if I come in here and I want to go look at one of these where I'm feeding the data in? Let's actually go look at my data sources. So I've got Prometheus, and he's 192.168.11.193. So 192.168.11.193, right? This guy. And here's this system. And now I can query stuff about my actual environment to set up. Let's just say I came in here and I wanted to make a new dashboard maybe, right? And this dashboard, we've messed with this a little bit before, but let's just say that we wanted to see new panel. And in here we're going to use as the data source Prometheus, right? And I can enter the query here, or I can come over here and figure out the query first so I know what something kind of looks like. So maybe I say over here, I start looking at this, and I say, okay, they've got down here set operations, and I can do something like up. I could just get up for everything. Just give me up for everything. And I go, okay. Up is cool, but I want up by the team. And my one team is infra. And that's all my nodes that are in infra, right? And then I also have my dungeons. And the dungeons are these other nodes that when we execute against them will come up. Okay. And then if I wanted to just pull these up and see if the node was up or down, I could just use these values right here. So I can come over here and I can drop this in, and if I run the query, I should be able to, yeah, right here, run the query. This will just tell me if the nodes are up or down, right? But I don't necessarily like that, so I'm going to change this to like a gauge. And then with a gauge, I would see if they were up or down. Then over here, I got to set this to be, we had talked about this before, min needs to be 0, and max needs to be 1. And then hopefully, if I apply this, it would show me that the nodes were up or down, right? And in this case, I see that they're 1, but my gauge isn't correct. And some of you guys have seen me. I've messed with this before, but I haven't messed with this lately. We have to set that so that that should be 0. Unit should be, we could set the unit if we wanted to. I don't have any of those kind of things that I need to. Decimals are no. Color scheme can be from whatever. And this will give me the last, or maybe I only want the last value here. And then I should be able to run the query. And for some reason, and I don't remember what it is, but we had a hard time getting this to display, and then sometimes it would display. So it's kind of a weird thing. But watch this. I could take this here, and I can add another query, and this other query can be this other one, which was infra, right? And I can run that query, and now I got all of those. But that might not be the way I want to display it. Maybe I want to have them in separate nodes, so I can name them by panel or whatever. But then I might need to, if we come over here, I might need to change the label on these, right? And this says here that I can do extract the label and store it in a new label. So let's try this. Let's say label replace up, and then give a host name. Let's see what this one does over in my home lab, right? We're stealing stuff from ourselves. Does this show? And it gives just the host name here, but that host name is, I mean, that's still better than what I had. That's still better than showing this whole instance. So I could do this same query here, right? Label replace up that, and then up here, I think, let's see. Can I come in here and do this? This is equals whoops. All right, let's see this. Does this one break? No, that works. Okay. Team up infra. So I need this, right? Because I want to do that. I want to do that label replace so that it only shows. I only want it because I only want to display the host name on each of these. This was something I needed to figure out the other day. I just never got around to doing it. There's that one, and then go to this one, and we'll do that, but we'll change that to dungeon. Right? And then run the queries. So those are there. Now we still have the problem of why it's not showing up correctly. We only want the one field. We can, by the way, we can change these to be vertical, horizontal. I don't know why horizontal's not showing up. Let's just apply it. Nope, looks like garbage. Go back to auto. I'm fine with that. I just don't know why this won't automatically take the 0 and the 1 like we want. And I don't know why it's not doing up and down like it should. Yeah, we don't need any of that stuff. Name equals up, host name. And we need to, our legend only needs see what happens here. try hostname here. Ah, it's better. I want that. So legends, change this legend to custom, and that'll be hostname. So we do want that. I think we can do that with no problem. So now it'll give us those. And then we still have this problem with them not, they should fill up and when they're all the way up, and then they should drop down when they're all the way down. Yeah, yeah, Daff, I've changed the thresholds. Here's my oh, what to show when there's no value? We could say 0. But if there is a value, then it would show. Let's apply that real quick. We at least have the machine IP, or the IPs, right? But then we need to come in here. Yeah, I've mucked around with these, and in the older one it just worked. In the older Grafana it worked, but in this new one, I can never get my system here. Let's see if there's a data. No, I don't need any of that. I don't need like any specific values. Threshold further down. These thresholds? Change them down to percentage. That looks better. Maybe, oh, let's go absolute and then just maybe wipe that. Add a threshold of 0. Color's terrible. Somebody help me out here. What do we want? Green? I don't know. And then what is that? 100%? Is that what it was? I thought it was 100 earlier. Whoops. Or it was 80 earlier, I mean, but oh shit, it's only one, isn't it? Oh goddamn. That'll be green and that'll be red. I'm colorblind, but I think that looks okay. But did that not? Didn't do it. It's terrible. Hey Truva, how's it going over on the Twitch side? We are just hanging out, and I don't know how to do this part. I need to look this up. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe there's not. Hold on, wait. There's something. Maybe I need to remove. So there's the threshold markers. Here's our thresholds. Apparently I have that backwards. Oh shit. What in the F? Yeah, I have no idea. But I should be able to. Yeah, I don't know why that needs to be 0. That needs to stay at 0. And well, oh, hold on. I mean, it's better. Hold on. Junk these. Oh, whatever. That looks good enough. So let's go turn one of these things off. So, all right, like a test is no good if we can't actually watch it happen, right? Let's go over here. Get out of the way there. All right, let's go turn off. We'll turn off red 2. Red node 2. Shut him down. Off. He'll also show up tomorrow. Hey, Tawny, how's it going? tomorrow he'll show up in our Discord. We've got, when you guys come into our systems, if you're ever in our Discord, Sandbox, we will see that Red Node 1 has rebooted in the last 24 hours. We see what's going on in the environment every day. I see how my environment's doing. With, by the way, for you guys that did the Jinja templates with me earlier, it's exactly like this. It's exactly the same thing. What was the value mapping? Well, let's watch him turn off real quick. We'll apply this. And, oh, there he is. That looks better. It just wasn't doing it. So 102 is off. So let's make sure. He's set to refresh every 5 seconds. Let's turn him back on. And I'm going to sit here. My hands are not touching anything, just so you guys... Normally I'd show you guys my... There's nothing up my sleeve. I'm not doing anything sneaky over here. Truva, you said yesterday university exam results were announced. I got into medicine or computer engineering, but cannot decide which one is suitable to me. What do you think are skills that a computer engineer should have? That's a good question, Truva. Let me say, from my background, I thought I was going to be a doctor, right? There's a couple things that kept me from that. One, I'm colorblind, and two, to afford college, I had to go in the Army, and the U.S. Army, and I went infantry, and I don't think that the Hippocratic Oath is compatible with what I both believe and have been taught to do and did as an infantryman. So I stayed out of medicine. I went engineering. That being said, I think to be a good engineer, or probably I imagine a doctor, you have to be able to troubleshoot things quickly. You got to be able to think through a set of processes that are hopefully like straightforward to you, and come to the right conclusion most of the time, right? Tawny, you said your CrowdStrike Windows server's off. Yeah. Tawny, I don't know if you're ever down in our Discord at all. I don't know if you ever go down there and play, but one of our guys was mentioning, who works at a big cloud provider in the world, that they have over 150,000 systems that they're going to have to remediate. And some of you guys know what that remediation looks like. Some of you guys have seen the different things, and it's not going to be nice. They have to go into each of these systems and do the remediation manually. You got to watch the system boot. You got to, even if you do it fast, it's probably going to take 3 to 5 minutes. I mean, I guess if somebody was quick and had like multiple monitors and was booting into multiple different ones, but now you're asking for errors, like, man, like you're gonna, it's. Ooh. So, anyways, yeah, it's he has 150,000 systems that his, I think, his team or his purview is going to have to deal with. They're a big company, and I was surprised that they did that much Windows, being that they mostly do everything in Linux. But he said, yeah, they had a lot of stuff that had to be touched. So, isn't it weird that it wasn't working down in this was not working down there, but it is working up here. So let's clean this up. Now that we know how to do this, guys, who's paying for that? Well, that's why I've been telling people, I don't know, like I try not to get into like any of the big sensational stuff, but I sit around and think about this, like, I don't know if that company's still going to exist in a few days, like, I mean, they're probably going to get sued to the end of time, but yeah, I don't know. Let's do something in this environment. We gotta edit this down. Let's play with this. We can copy this, right? So let's actually just duplicate the panel. So now we got 2 of them, and we'll take this top one, right? And we're going to, in this panel, without changing anything else, we're just going to give it the name InfraNodes. InfraNodes, right? And then we'll come down here and we're going to keep the infra ones. So we'll delete this one. Boom. We'll apply that. There's our InfraNodes. And then we'll come down here and we'll edit this one. And we will delete our InfraNodes out of this one. And we'll call this one Dungeon Nodes. Right? So now, boom, we've got, look at this. I didn't even change anything, damn it. And these things are back to busted. Thresholds. What a nightmare. Anyway, so now I can see that my nodes are on, and then I can see if these dungeon nodes are on, right? And maybe I think that's too big and annoying looking, so maybe I do something like that. You can modify. Gosh, you guys can do whatever you want. And then it's very much like, let's say dashboard name is Prolug. I don't know, uptime, or Prolug. Let's just call this. Sometimes we'll call it a single pane of glass, right? But let's just call it Prolug. Up, down, nodes, right? So in a real quick view, we could just see if all my nodes are up or down. Truva, you said I've more or less made up my mind. You know, parents always want me to have a doctor in the family. Sorry, Mom. Yeah, look, if computer science is where you want to spend your time troubleshooting, either way, you're probably going to be troubleshooting a lot of stuff. Either way, you're probably going to be... I can tell you a few things that are probably easier about being a doctor. In being a doctor, the human body doesn't change faster than you do. So, like, if you go become an expert on, like, ear, nose, and throat, there's going to be some techniques and some medicines that are going to change, but the human body is not going to be changing in the next 30 years of your career or whatever. Engineering, you will be constantly updating things. Now, will you be updating things as a doctor? Absolutely, 100%. I'm not saying engineering's harder. I'm just saying, as a doctor, you will be doing the same exact things, the same exact parts of the same exact types of bodies, you know? Yeah, and you could do software in healthcare if you really wanted to. That's true, too. Yeah. But, you know, there's also probably depending on what you go into for medicine, there's probably about a 5 to 10 times as much pay difference, too. Even though engineers do very well, like engineers can live pretty comfortably, but they don't make doctor money. That's for sure. They can make good money, but they probably won't make doctor money. I guess if you go and you might be able to do it at some of the big ones, big company, or if you run your own business, right? That kind of stuff. All right, why are these back to busted? Hold on, we've saved this page, right? We've saved this. Saved for posterity's sake. Boom. But it says no changes, so we're fine. Let's just refresh the page. Does the page come up correctly? It does not. So, what is different on this one? On, off, min, 0. Apply. Dungeon nodes are all up. None of these things should be different between these. These should all be... There's literally no changes that I made when I duplicated these. Literally just duplicated them. Maddening. Absolutely maddening. Hey Fisherman, how's it going? We were cleaning up the lab a little bit and making stuff a little better. And then even though these are clones of each other, one of them has gone back to, which was working, has gone back to not having the value inside of there. So we also found out how to relabel as we did this, and also to get the right legend as the host name. And hold on. Hold on. Yeah, there's nothing over here. Well, that's gonna bug me. Ah, that could be a problem, Truva, if there's a disrespect towards doctors. I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to change the original. Hold on, I'm going to change this in the only way right here that matters. Infra, right? Not changing anything. Didn't change anything else, guys. I wonder if... Hold on. I wonder if... Remove. I wonder if we just made this a little bigger. Nope. That won't do it. I wonder if one of the values is just different of what it's pulling out of there. But we can go quick. We can see all the data here. All the data are available to us, right? Infra are right here. They're all ones. Look, all ones right there. And the dungeon, so we can query the data. Oops. These ones will be all ones as well. There's literally no difference between these. I don't know. I think that at least looks better. If we're trying to make them look. Oh, whatever. I don't know. We'll not worry about it too much, but we'll save it. Layout. Save the layout for now, and we'll keep it. We'll keep it with the other stuff. Look at that ranger dog down there. In addition, there's disrespect towards oxygen. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. That'll get you every time. All right. So what did we do today? We finished up the Socratic Ansible stuff. We did kind of messing around on here and looked in the home lab a little bit. Turned nodes on and off for our amusement. Turned red node off and back on. I've got all these Rocky boxes, and I'm gonna point them to where you guys can get into them and connect and do labs on them. So I'm gonna be building labs out there on them for you guys, so that we don't always have to do everything through Killer Coda. Killer Coda is a great tool, but there's certain things that I can't have you doing labs in there, like we can't reboot nodes, and we can't change disk configurations, and we can't change, like, there's all kinds of things we can't really do down there that I would like to be able to get you guys doing. So I'm going to be building them into these Rocky systems so that you can mess with them a little more. So all right, I'm probably going to drop off of here, find somebody to raid on the Twitch side of things. I definitely appreciate everybody coming by. Go to a little end of stream thing. Let's go hit up we'll go hit up Practical. If you guys don't know Practical NPC, he's making a game. His game's pretty cool, and it's called Memori. So we'll go hop over there. He does a lot of techie stuff though. Like, even though he's making a game, a lot of his stuff ends up being pretty technical. You get to watch him do some Godot. I think he officially talks on the Godot channel sometimes as well. So, all right. But we're going to go right over there, and I will talk to some of you tomorrow, and I will talk to the rest of you on Sunday when we do labs. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.